Hey everybody, welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with my bestie Mandy.
And I'm here with my bestie Jessica, who's in her power blazer.
It's not a blazer, it's just whatever. There's no shoulder pads, like 80 shoulder pads. Anyhow,
No
this
comment.
is shush. Leave my big old shoulders out of this.
I didn't say anything.
Linebacker shoulders. It was how I was born. I was born this way. Leave me alone.
I
Okay.
didn't say anything. I just said you looked like you were ready to go to like a high profile meeting in your power blazer.
It's
You got
not
your red
a
lipstick
blazer.
on and your power blazer.
Okay.
I'm in
Anyhow,
my
people.
t-shirt.
This is casual. Just the way you're perceiving it. Anyhow, this is our 1 minute book recs. This is
Welcome.
this is where we go over all the books we read in the last week with 1 minute synopsises. Will we try for each book? But before we get started with that, Mandy.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate all of you being here, and like and comment and tell us how your reading week's going.
Okay. All right. So I kind of already I don't know, but I know you were home, you were sick, you were reading. Guys, get a snack. It might be a minute. How was your reading week?
My reading week was pretty good. I had some good books, but I had some not so great books.
Mhm.
I read 13 books, but I was homesick for like 3 days.
Yeah. So after
I
last
still
week,
don't feel super great, so my
I know you
apologies.
don't. Yeah. After last week, Mandy was like, I can't go first anymore. You have to start reading more than me. So I read 9 books this week, but it wasn't enough. A lot of you guys watched my mastectomy video, and I just wanted to let everybody know because I had mentioned that my daughter was waiting for her test to come back, and her BRCA test came back negative yesterday morning. So we have been celebrating that, and we are
Praise
so
God.
grateful, so thankful. Yes, praise God. Hers came back negative. So 1 out of the 3 has their test back, and it's negative. The other one, we're going to take him to get his test this next week, and then the littlest one won't be tested for a couple of years. But hallelujah, it was negative.
Yes.
So she doesn't need anything else to worry about that one. So
No,
she's the one
no.
who's always at the hospital. But just in case anybody was wondering, it did come back negative. So okay, let's do this. You
Okay,
get to start. This is going to be a long video.
it
So
is. All right, so my first book is the one that Swathi MH was telling us about in her author interview. So if you haven't watched that, go watch it. She was so much fun to
she
chat with.
was, yeah.
And so I just had to read Pretend for Me after that interview
Okay.
because that is the one where she has the hairless cat.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yes. So this is Pretend for Me. This is Piper and Dave's story. And Dave is a very wealthy man and he goes to get his hair cut by Piper. Piper runs this salon and Dave's friend goes to her quite a bit and hears a lot about her. So he goes there to get his hair cut. Well, Piper recently switched medications. Like that morning, she started a new medication and didn't realize that it could make her drowsy. And so while she's cutting his hair, she like cuts like a huge chunk off the side. And he is pissed because he's on his way to a board meeting and his dad is kind of on him about like leading the company and everything. And so it's a disaster and he's really pissed about it. And she is trying to make amends to it. And she's like, please, 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 I'll do anything, just anything to make it better. Like, I'm so sorry. Well, he goes and visits his mom after this board meeting disaster and everything. And his mom mentions that she is terminally ill. And she mentions that the one thing she really wanted is to see him like get married and be happy. And he loves his mom, and this is devastating to him. So he actually goes back and propositions Piper to be his fake wife or fake engaged. And so that's where the story really kind of takes off. I love this. It is definitely got rom-com vibes, but there is a heavier underlying theme with the mom being terminally ill. We see all of the guys from what's the name of the series of Abyss Ablaze? That series. I can't
Um,
remember the name of
I
it.
can't. I can't. But
Abyss
Blaze is right here. Hold
Ablaze
on.
Adrift.
This is
That
her. Um, is it her Elements series? Because that's what they all are, is elements.
the guys from that are actively involved in this book. There's group chats. It's hilarious. Hudson is the one in
Oh, it's
Adrift.
Elements of Rapture.
Elements of Rapture. Hudson is in Abyss, which is one of the it's the last book. It's the one I read, and he has his whole story is an age gap, and it's his daughter's best friend. And so the guys like give him crap about like, oh, is your wife old enough to do that? Like, and stuff. It's so hilarious. I loved it so much. I gave it 5 stars. Really, really enjoyed it. But just so you know, the mom is terminally ill, so there is like uh, a very emotional part to the story as well.
Okay. All right, so last weekend was Easter weekend. And so while I was making Easter dinner for the family, I was like, oh, I should listen to that book that Mandy read with the guy who has to dress up as the Easter Bunny. So that's what I did. I picked up Run Little Bunny by Serena Pierre. Is it Pierre or Pierre? It's Pier. I don't know. We're just going to go with that. Who knows? Okay, so this is about Anna and Chad. So Chad loses so this is a novella. There is audio for it. Chad loses something with fantasy football, and he has to play the Easter Bunny for the town, the big Easter party. And that's where he sees Anna. He's had a crush on her. She waitresses, and he's gone into the restaurant a lot, actually. He's had a crush on her for a while. He's a lot older than her. And so, it's kind of inappropriate. At least he thinks that he is anyway. She's there with her nephew and her sister. And she realizes the Easter Bunny's checking her out. Like, it's creepy, but the Easter Bunny's checking her out. He ends up giving her a note asking her to dinner, and she agrees, even though she has no clue who this is because he won't talk. And she ends up going to dinner and meeting him later that night, or the next day or that night. I can't remember what it was. And he's wearing the Easter Bunny head still. He's changed his clothes, he's wearing the head. And then everything just kind of goes from there. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. There's breeding in it. There's primal play. There's the age gap. It's great. It was great. It's the 4th book in that series. I kind of want to go back and read the other ones.
Me too.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
What do you got?
So my next one was one of my March TBR ones, but it came out at the very end of March. And this is Undeniably Enemies by Jay Shaman. And this is Ren and Jack's story. So Ren and Jack, Jack's best friend's little sister is Ren. So Ren and Jack are at a Halloween party. They're in costume, masks on, and Ren is really wanting to lose her virginity. And they go off, and do it. And halfway through, Jack realizes who she is. He realizes that he is taking her virginity, and he continues along with everything. She is like fully participating. And so they realize who each other are. Well, Jack is a little horrified by, his actions later, that this is like his best friend's little sister. He took her virginity. And so he deals with it in not the best way, which leads to the two of them becoming kind of enemies, like hating each other. So we fast forward many years later. Ren is back in Boston. She has had some things happen in her past that she's kind of trying to deal with. And we see a lot of that unfold. So no spoilers. And the two of them are going to kind of start like this relationship, but it is extremely forbidden because he is in a place of like he's her superior in the hospital, and he's up for a fairly big promotion, and this would be like massively frowned upon. So I really enjoyed it. 5 stars. And there is audio for it as well.
Perfect. Okay, it's no secret that I love Captor captive romances. And in one of my dark groups on Facebook, they recommended this next book. And I was like, cool, never heard of the author, hadn't heard the book, but there's audio and I was going to do it. So let's talk about that. So this is called Captor, and it's by K.M. Mixon. So this is about Bryn. She is the daughter. So her dad is a wilderness explorer. Her dad is a survivalist, and he went missing when she was young in the Canadian, like on the coast here where I'm at in Vancouver. He went missing out here somewhere while he was doing something. They live in Florida, but he was here doing some wilderness exploring, and that's what happened. Now she's an adult. She's desperate for money. Her best friend talks her into doing a show like Lost, or where they like drop you in and you have to survive by yourself. And again, that takes place in the Vancouver area out here in the wilderness. And so she gets accepted. She goes to do that. Everybody's impressed because of who she is. They know of her father. When she's dropped in the wilderness, she ends up on the property of this guy who is Slate, who is basically part of the mafia, but he's also hiding out. He has a murderous tendencies and a whole lot of issues. And then he ends up kidnapping her and keeping her. It should have been great, should have been wonderful. I gave it 3 stars. I got kind of bored. It just wasn't giving what I was looking for. I can see a lot of people enjoying this, but for me, it just wasn't giving. She really gives into him very quickly. He starts pulling out some BDSM crap, and she's all like, "Yep, I'm on board." And I'm like, "You've known him for less than 24 hours, and you're sitting on his lap." Okay, I just had a hard time with that. You've been taken captive, dude. Fight it a little. So, you know.
But what's interesting is sometimes that can work.
Sometimes it does work. In this book, it didn't. Sometimes it does. You're right. But for me, this one didn't. But it might work for somebody else. 3 doesn't mean that I didn't like it. I did enjoy parts of it. It just wasn't, it wasn't given what I was looking for.
A 3 is it was not for me, but maybe it's for you.
Yeah.
A 1 or a 2 for me would be like, I don't really know that the way it's currently written, it's really going to be for anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. A 1 was
how I feel about
I was
reading.
forced to read this and I never want to read it again. A 4 is like, ooh, loved it. It was great. It was amazing. A 5 is I would read this over and over and over and over again. Like the 5 is a favorite.
5 for me is one that I can still think about like a couple weeks later.
Yeah, I'm still thinking
like,
of that.
I really liked it. I just don't reread.
Yeah. Yeah. Death Valley.
Interesting.
I know they do. It's interesting. Death Valley that I read, Karina Halley's Death Valley, is still sitting with me 2 weeks later. Like it's all I think about still. That is a 5. I don't tend to do 6 stars because there isn't 6 out there. I know some people do give things 6 stars, but to me, the 5 is where it cuts off, and that's where I leave it. So, you know.
But also, I just want to preface that with I don't always remember things super well. And so there's that Facebook reel or TikTok or whatever where the guy is doing the interview and he's like, he said to me something that I will remember for the rest of my life or I will never forget. And then he's like, it was, and then he can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah. Except you remember the names. You remember names of things that I don't.
I don't know. It's my favorite book.
Exactly. I don't know what happened, but I know I loved it. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Okay. Well, my next book, I didn't love. Maybe other people will. Okay. So every month, I listen to one of Jay Sterling's novellas from her, I don't remember the name of the series all of a sudden. Anyways, I listened to the April one, which was Fools in Love. Okay. And this is about April and Robbie. April is like this highly sought after matchmaker in Manhattan. Robbie is he's a firefighter and he was on the calendar and all the women love him and throw themselves at him. And he's just he enjoyed it at first and now he's just over it because he just feels like they're using him and it's made, things difficult for him. And he ends up being a bachelor at a charity auction, which he's reluctantly doing. He's doing it because it's charity, but he just really doesn't want the attention anymore. And April ends up winning him. And both of them are not really interested in this whole process. And they're forced to go out on this date together because of it. And that's the story. I rated it 3 stars. It fell a little flat for me. I get it's a novella. I've enjoyed the other ones. This one just wasn't really. I was like kind of bored a little bit. I just wasn't feeling it.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
But other people might enjoy it. I'm still enjoying the series. I don't Yeah. It's 1 credit and you get the 12 novellas, so it's a fun series.
Okay. So the next one that I picked up was one that it was on my TBR, I think in March, and I hadn't gotten to it, and I was just excited to get to it now. And I think you got me this book for my birthday. And that is Heartless Beloved. You did. Heartless Beloved. I'm going to lose my spot. Hold on. I got to do this and this. Heartless Beloved by Lola King. This is the 2nd book in her North Shore series. And I did enjoy this quite a bit. I listened to the audio. The audio came out last month for it. So this is about Alexandra and Zai. And in this book, so at the very beginning, Alexandra's the daughter to a senator, and she is kidnapped. And she is held for ransom. She never sees the face of the guys that do it, but they hold her in the North Shore. She knows she's being held there, and then she is rescued at one point. Well, then we fast forward 7 months later. She is leaving for college. Her father is an asshole, to put it mildly. Like, he is so strict with her, like gives her book assignments and stuff when she doesn't even, like, it's not even necessary for school. Her mom, the money on their side comes from her mom, but her mom hasn't really paid a lot of attention. She's a good person. She just hasn't paid a lot of attention to how Alexander's being treated by her father. She goes to college. On her way there, she gets lost and she ends up in the North Shore, and she completely freaks out. She goes to a store to find out, like, to get a charger for her phone because it's dying. And that is where she meets Cy, right as her car gets stolen by the gangs there. And then we see her go to college, and she's got, like, Cy starts showing up. We find out why. We know why, but for her, he's just kind of showing up. And she's trying to pledge where her mom was in the same sorority as her. And she finds out that Cy has not only been around, like, he has been around, like, everybody's been with him, but he also supplies all the drugs for everybody at these parties, even though he doesn't go to college there. And so there's that potential that he could really hurt her. And there's some jealousy. There's all sorts of things. I don't even think I'm doing this book justice, but I loved it. I gave it 4.5 stars. I took a half a star off for all the Taylor Swift references because it drove me insane. I do think it's a 5-star book, though. I did put it 5 stars on Goodreads, but every time something happens, and if it reminds her of a Taylor Swift song, she quotes the song. And I get that that's her personality and that's her quirky personality, but I was like, oh, I'm over it. I'm not a Swiftie. It drove me nuts.
I'm going to start doing that with you.
Oh, great.
I am so
excited. She
excited.
has some quirky things like that in there. So, yeah. Okay. What do you got next?
I wish I could think of something Taylor Swifty to say, but I can't.
Nice. Thank God.
Okay. So the next book I got, it's been on my bookshelf for, like, physically on my bookshelf for a while. And when I started reading it, I texted you and I'm like, why did I sleep on this book for so long? It was so good. So that is The Five by Lily White.
Yes.
This is a thriller. It's different, so I'm just going to throw that out there, but it is so good. So if you like a romantic thriller, you will love this book. Being that it is a thriller, it is dark. Check your triggers. It's going to be really difficult to talk about. So we have Rainey, and Rainey was found at, like, this scene where her friends were all murdered. There was a party and these other people were murdered, and she was the only one that was not. And they're trying to get to the bottom of, like, what she knows. So they bring in the psychologist to work with her to get through it. And she doesn't want to start her story, like, right there. She starts it way back to build up to where they are. And Justin is the psychologist that is assigned to do this, and so this is the back and forth between the two of them. That was actually not my timer. That
what was that?
A TikTok notification.
Okay.
But anyway, I can be done because there's really not a lot to say about this without giving things away. It is really good. Again, if you like a romantic thriller, this is a great book to grab.
Mm-hmm. It was good. I liked it too. And I don't normally go for that. I mean, like, yeah, it wasn't typically what I would pick up if I had known what I knew reading it, but I'm so glad I did. It was so good.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. Okay, so the next book I have, I think, is probably going to go into my favorites of the year. I really liked this one so much. The angst, the unrequited love, and the angst in this book was just, like, it was just on point. So that is Hunger in His Blood.
Instead of saying chef's kiss, I think we should start saying author's kiss.
There you go. Yeah, remind me of that later. So this is Hunger in His Blood by Zoe Draven.
Oh,
this is
man.
This is the third.
Like, I can't wait for a good book rec.
I know, that's why I set it up like that. This is the third book in her Brides of the Kyler series. This is about Irina and Calder. So Irina lives in Calder's palace, castle, whatever place, and she is a keeper. So she is a housekeeper, basically. She cleans whatever. Calder is he's a man whore. Like, he is just on it. He's just literally on it, on all of it, on everybody. But he, for the last 2 years, has felt like this unsettledness in his body, and he just can't get rid of it unless he's doing that kind of stuff. She walks in on him. Arena walks in on him. She's got a crush on him. She's had a crush on him for a couple of years, but she walks in on him banging it out with his mistress. And she is obsessed with this one vase. And the girl ends up breaking the vase after she leaves. And so she goes in there to kind of clean that up. When she does, he comes in to check on her to see what's going on. And it cuts her hand. The vase cuts her hand. And he can smell her blood. And then so he knows that she is his blood mate. So her blood is perfect for him. So he throws out this contract. He doesn't want to get close to her. He has some trauma. He does not want her to think that this is more than her just giving him blood. And so he puts out this contract where she's basically only there for blood, like just to use her for that kind of a thing. Things obviously go sideways. There is a lot of pining. There is a lot of that unrequited love. Oh my gosh, the grovel. Like, this is how you do a grovel. This book had the best grovel. And it went on for chapter. It was amazing. I loved it. 5 stars. It will go down. It's my favorite in the series. It's probably one of my favorite Zoe Draven, and I love Zoe Draven. So yeah, it's gonna go down in the list for the year.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Next.
Well, next, I don't think we have to switch over for this one.
Okay.
So I read the second half of what is the name of this? Road to Nowhere. So this is book 2. This is Ends Here. Road to Nowhere is the name of the first book, so that surprised me that it was the same. I thought there was a different name. I was confused. So this, again, if you haven't seen it, is the Coveted cover, a special edition. So
Yep.
I listened to this. I talked about this book last week. This is Mia and Creed's story. So that's what I read. I don't know that I really need to talk about it again, do I?
Yeah, the ratings stayed the same.
Yeah, it's a 4.
Yep.
I'm not sure I would recommend the audio, though. So
Would recommend
if
what?
you have the Coveted cover version, just grab the Kindle version.
Yeah, the audio. The audio really bothered you. Yeah.
Yeah. That's me, though.
Didn't bother me. And then again, though, I listened to it years ago. So when I re-listened to it for this, I already was used to it.
I just felt like his voice just didn't fit the character for me, and that just bugged me.
Yeah, didn't bother me.
I'm sorry.
Try a sample of it, guys. Okay. Ready for my next book?
Yeah.
Okay. So the next book I have is an ARC that I got. This is another Lola King book. This is Loving the Reaper. This is a spin-off series from the North Shore series. But in that book that I read earlier this week, we got to meet Peach, who is one of the close friends to our heroine of that book. And this is her book. So this is about her and Ren. They have been best friends since they were little kids. And, you know, now they're in college together. And Ren is obsessed with Peach. Like, obsessed. Like, keeps a list of all the things that he loves about her. Obsessed. Would do anything. Would go all stabby for her. Like, would do absolutely anything for Ren. Or for Peach. Peach is sassy. Peach was sassy in the what was this one? In Heartless Beloved. Like, I know that some people didn't necessarily care for Peach. I've seen a few reviews, but at the same time, I know that that's what Peach is like because that's what I read about her in the first book. So I knew that she was going to be sassy, and that did not bother me at all. I actually love her personality. But what happens when you know, Ren's been trying to get with her? She keeps telling him no, that they just won't work out. But what happens when she finds herself in a secret society initiation, being initiated into the secret society? That's just where I'm going to leave it there. I gave it a solid 4 stars. I really enjoyed it a lot.
Okay.
So this is the second book in a series. I did not read the first book. I don't know that you necessarily have to. I think they are interconnected standalones. You might get more enjoyment out of it. The audio is actually coming out here in a couple weeks for the first book in this series. But so I'll probably wait till that comes out and then listen to that just so I get that context.
Okay.
Okay. Next,
I have Breaking Silence by L.M. Halloran. I wanted to get to this. It's been sitting on my bookshelf for a while, and I wanted to get to it because her next book is coming out at the end of May, and it is like the second generation. And so I obviously needed to get this one read. So this is Matt and Sophie's story. Matt is part of the Breaking Giants band. Sophie works at the coffee shop. If you've read Breaking Giants, then you kind of can already start to connect everybody and how they're all intertwined a little bit. And Sophie and Matt actually met 6 years ago. I'll let you read the book so you can read how that happened. And he is now back on the market. He was engaged. The engagement's been called off. He's back on the market. And because of certain connections, they find themselves at some events together. And Matt is just really intrigued by Sophie. He feels like he knows her fairly well because her brother is a very famous, sought out after tattoo artist who has done most of his tattoos. And so he kind of feels like he already kind of knows her a little bit because of this. And Sophie has had some things happen to her, which is told throughout the book in some flashbacks. Please check your triggers for this one. It is not just a typical rock star romance. And she does not want to do relationships at all. And so Matt decides that they should just become friends. And so he kind of, in a not aggressive way, like kind of forces her to be his best friend. Like he's like, we're besties now. And like they go out and do things together as strictly just as friends. And so this is a friends to lovers that I can truly get behind because it's a very organic relationship. And I just love how Laura takes these like heartbreaking scenarios for some of her characters and just weaves together this beautiful love story. And oh, I just love her writing so much. So it was 5 stars for me, and I cannot wait for the next. And it's supposed to be really angsty. She does angst good.
She does. Yeah. Okay, so I mentioned the Karina Halley Death Valley book, which is a dark cowboy romance with some other paranormal stuff in it, but it was really good, right? And it stuck with me for over 2 weeks. I just can't stop thinking about it. So I was like, I need more dark cowboy. So in my research, which I should never trust TikTok. I know I say that all the time, but I really shouldn't. In my research,
anytime you're like in my Facebook reader group or I saw on TikTok, I'm like, well, this is
sometimes the Facebook reader group does me good. Like the Facebook reader group is far more trustworthy than TikTok. I'm just gonna put that out there. But I was like, where like you don't hear a lot about dark cowboy romances. So I'm like, I need a dark cowboy romance. So I picked up a book that had like it's got over 20,000 ratings and it's got like people just seem to love it and I didn't necessarily. Okay, so this is called Sovereign and it is by Rhea Morris Edwards and this is about Kira and Gerard. So at the beginning of this book, Kira is only 21. She married her husband the day after she turned 18. It was her dad had died. So there was 3 main ranches in this area that they're living in. And her dad owned one, and then her husband's family owned another, and then you have Gerard who owns the third. And so when her dad died, she was basically kind of forced to marry her husband. Because his family wanted her land. And so they kind of absorbed all of that. Well, now it's been several years later. She is in an abusive relationship with her husband, but Gerard comes over to strike up a deal with her husband. And when he sees her, he automatically corners her downstairs and is like, I want you kind of a situation. And then the next day her husband goes out to Gerard's ranch and an accident happens. And so there is no more husband. Then we fast forward 7 months later where Gerard informs her that he owns the deeds to her land. She owes him like $1 million because her husband had some bad debts. And now he'll forgive them if she is his submissive for a year and signs this contract where he can be her dom. So this one does have a lot of BDSM in it, which I don't tend to look for. That's fine. You know, as long as it's done, like BJ has that in her books. It does not bother me. But this was literally every chapter of the book. There was some kind of sexual scene going on. There was barely any plot in this book. I've heard the second and the third books get better. I will read those. I gave this one 3 stars. I enjoyed the beginning. I enjoyed the parts that didn't have sex in them. But it got to a point where I was like, oh my gosh. I was just skipping all the sex scenes. It was so, I'm just like, that's too much. After a while, it's too much. You really don't need that much in a book. Really don't. Because you have all those sex scenes in there. Where is the relationship building? We're reading this for the relationship. Where's the relationship building? They're just boning at this point. Boning with shackles on the wrist. Anyhow, I will continue on and I'll let you guys know. It also didn't feel that dark to me. I think just because of the BDSM and the husband, like that, but it really didn't feel that dark.
I think sometimes BDSM gets mislabeled as dark.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Even by the author.
I feel like that's a whole separate sitch.
I think so too. It is a whole separate thing.
But if you're somebody who's doesn't consume books like we do, and it's a brand like, you're only
It would
reading
feel
a few
darker to
books,
you.
that could definitely feel dark for you.
Yeah.
Depending.
Yep. But for
I
me,
feel like
we're
it's
gonna
very separate.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about a dark book that I read here at the end. And that is dark. Like the themes and the things that happen in that book are dark. This BDSM is not dark. If you are a dark romance reader, you're not gonna find it dark. Or at least not that dark. So okay.
Okay, my next one is 2 books. So I read Faithless and Forgiveness by Skylar Mason. You read those. I've been on this like quest for cheating. I think I'm going to take a break from my obsession with it. So you liked this one. I didn't really care for it. I didn't like the fact that this had been going on for 15 years, and then she asks for a divorce and suddenly he's like, wait a minute. I didn't see any connection between the two of them. They both should have been happy with the divorce. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk.
I'm sorry. I know that people liked it. I rated it a 3. It means it wasn't for me. It might be for you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So looking for something different I am fickle. I don't know.
I get it. It's okay. So for my next book, I think we can both just stay on because we talked about this book a lot lately. So nope. I did a listen. This is my first time listening. I'd read. Don't you dare stop it. I don't want no. But we did. Born for Silk was our book club read of the month. Wow, brain was not firing at all cylinders there for a second. This is by Nikki Harris. This was for our breeding trope. The audio was the first time I listened to the audio. CJ Bloom, Carly Robbins did the audio. Do you remember who the male narrator was?
I have it written down.
Okay, she'll find it. Anyhow, the audio was amazing. If you guys don't know, we've really been talking about this. Sean Masters. We've been talking about this a lot lately. This is dystopian. You have a king and his silk girl who he's supposed to, basically she's a walking womb. It is just so good. A lot of breeding in this one. Love this book. Definitely go check out some of our other videos where we talk about it. I don't need to talk about it because we talked about it so much. Or go watch last night's, I guess this is Monday. Go watch Friday night's video where we went live and did the book club. So.
Yes.
Okay.
Now it's my turn, and I'm not ready because you wouldn't.
So, and just so you guys know, if you didn't hear, Mandy gave Born for Silk 5 stars. I gave Born for Silk 5 stars. I think it was a favorite last year when I read it. It was on my favorites list. I'm pretty sure it was last year that I read it. So, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
It was good.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it a lot. Okay. So next I read The Blood Debt. So I have the bind up of all 3 books of Debts and Vengeance by Clarissa Wilde. It says you can read it as a standalone. You're reading, if I didn't know that, I would say that you needed to read from the beginning. She says you can. I can see how you can, but your reading experience is going to be so much better to start at the beginning. It's a really, really good series. So this is the bind up of all 3 books. And this is Jasmine and Liam's story. So Liam lost his memory, but he knows that he has like this fixation over Jasmine. And some things are kind of coming back to him. This is in the Mafia world. Jasmine was hopeful that she was going to get to take over her parents' business. She did everything that they wanted. And then instead of her being the one to marry off, they choose her younger sister, and she's devastated. Like, she really wanted this a lot, and so she's kind of devastated by it, but she continues to still be like the good, dutiful daughter. Well, when she finds out that Liam is still alive, she goes to find him, and Liam is not the same man he used to be. He literally traps her, like literally, and decides to hold her captive as punishment for various things, and things just kind of go from there. So this is, she seeks him out, but this does end up being like a captive. Oh, I forgot to set my timer. That's
I
what went
figured.
awry there.
Yeah.
This does end up being captive, even though she willingly went there. But I loved this series so much. I rated this one 5 stars. It's really good dark mafia if you like it.
Okay.
That sort of thing.
I do. Okay. So the next book I picked up is the second in a series. I read the first one earlier this month. So this is Protect by Paisley Hope. This is the second book in the Skyridge Hot Shots series. There's 3 books in this series, or it's a trilogy. They're 3 different standalones. They're written by 3 different authors. I gave 5 stars to the first one because I really enjoyed it. It does take place here in Washington, and these guys are hot shots. So they go out and they fight the wildfires and that kind of stuff. So for me, that's always like chef's kiss. But this is Violet and Rowan's story. So Violet is the little sister to Rowan's best friend, and they were both hot shots together. And a handful of years prior, the Violet's brother was killed while they were out fighting a fire, and so Rowan has a lot of guilt because of things that happened. Violet and Rowan, so it was Violet's twin brother who died. So Violet and Rowan are the same age, and same as her twin, right? Because obviously twins. But when they were in high school, she and him had a thing. She had low self-esteem and stuff, but he really liked her. And something happened that kind of broke her heart. And when that happened and she lost her brother, she just took off. She got married. She's a single mom with a 3-year-old daughter. She's moved home from Seattle. And the dad of the little girl is just not the greatest. She is a nurse in the burn unit at the hospital. And you can picture, like, Rowan wants her back and he's willing to do anything to get her back. So this is a second chance romance. There might be some hospital caretaking situations that happen here. Something might happen to him out on the job. I love this. I love the way he is with her daughter. I thought she was great. The 3-year-old was done very well. I really enjoyed it. I gave it a solid 4 stars. I really liked their story.
Okay.
And I cannot wait to read the next book, because the next book is the best friend, a friend that lost her husband already, like he died. She's pregnant and she has little ones at home.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah. Cannot wait.
Are you
Might
going
just
to
have
be
to read
reading?
it. I was
that
gonna
already out?
the books are out, but the audio isn't. So the audio for this just came out this last Tuesday. And so I think it was Tuesday. So I wanted to wait for the audio, but there's a part of me that's like, I am so eager to read this. I might not wait for the audio. I might just pick it up and read it. Which is fine. I mean, I do that too, but sometimes audio is easier, especially when I'm at work.
Yeah. Oh, also, I know we're trying really hard to make sure we let people know about audiobooks, because we get so much feedback saying that that many people who watch our audio, like, either that's the only way they consume their books, or it is a one method that they really enjoy. So I forgot to mention, I had it in my notes and I still forgot to mention, this whole series is on audio.
Yep. Okay.
And it's good.
Okay. Next.
Okay, so next I have an ALC.
Shocker.
And before I talk about it, though, Jessica, this book prompted me to watch a movie that I have not watched that you were shocked and upset about.
And which one was that?
I'll give you a hint. It was Inconceivable.
You haven't watched The Princess Bride?
I had not.
My God.
I know.
That's like a crime.
You knew this because you've given me crap.
I did. I've given you shit, but I keep forgetting about it every time you mention it. But you haven't read like a lot of the big ones that you should have, or watched, that you should have watched when we were younger. I'm blown away.
Yeah.
Have you watched The Breakfast Club?
Yes, that I did.
Oh, thank God. But not 16 Candles.
No. Is 16 Candles the one with the pig's blood prom dress?
No, that's Carrie.
Oh, I haven't watched that one either.
I don't watch that one either. That's too creepy. I can't do that. No.
Okay.
I mean, I've seen bits and pieces. Okay, anyhow.
Okay, so this author had wrote at the beginning of the book that there are some nods to The Princess Bride. Okay. And so I'm like, okay, this is my sign. I really need to watch this movie. And then I got sick, and so I was like, this is perfect. I'll watch The Princess Bride while I'm homesick. Okay. And my kids go to school, and I'll just watch it. So I watched it. Funny enough, a couple of the people in there I recognized from like modern TV, which was funny. And that's like from 1987.
It was we were little. We were really little when it came out.
So I watched it so I could read the book, and I would say like you do not have to watch the movie to read the book. The book was really, really good, but it did make some things a little more enjoyable for me. I really just wanted to know like where the little hidden references and stuff were. So,
Yeah.
anyways, I am
Okay.
talking about Pen by Jennifer Milliken. Milliken. This is the first book in the Olive Township. Audio is just coming out for this, it just came out for this. By the time this is out, the audio will be out. So this is narrated by Hannah Chiclana and Edward Black, and I did get the ALC for this. Oh, loved it so much. So we have Daisy, and Daisy and Penn were like childhood, kind of like almost like best friend, sweetheart type thing. And then something happens, and Penn just basically moves away and disappears from her life. And she does not know this, but Penn has stayed friends with Hugo, who still lives in the town. And Penn is coming back to settle some affairs with his mom's house. And so when he comes back, they run into each other. He knows who Daisy is. Daisy does not recognize him. He's been a Navy SEAL, and he is currently on leave because he was in a pretty horrific accident. And so he is going to need PT while he's in town. And Daisy is a physical therapist. So they're going to kind of be forced together a little bit. Daisy does not believe in true love, and she is actually getting married to Duke. And it's more of a marriage of convenience, and she's totally okay with that because they're not, that she just doesn't think that love is like a real thing, and they're good friends, so why not like just marry him? The whole town is very excited about this marriage, but Penn comes back, and Daisy might just notice a particular tattoo that he has with daisies and start to piece together who Penn really is. So I loved it. My timer went off a while ago.
Oh, I didn't hear it. It's really quiet today.
It was exciting.
Yeah, it's very
So
quiet today.
I rated this one 5 stars. I cannot wait for the next book. It's on my TBR, so you probably heard me talk about that if you've watched our TBR book video. But yes, so excited for the next one.
All right. So the next book I have is one that I've been waiting for since last year, and it just came out this week. So there's not audio for either one of these books. So this is the second in a series. It's going to be a 4-book series. Some of the dark stuff I have ever read. So I'm just going to put that out there. You have got to check triggers because, oh my gosh, there were things I was reading it. And then I, laid down to go to sleep last night and I was saying my prayers and I was like, oh, this feels wrong. Like there was some unaliving happening right before I put this book down that felt really wrong. So anyhow, this is Depravity by Ellie Sanders. And I'm just going to stress it again. Please check those triggers. This is seriously one of the darkest books I've ever read. So this is about Bryn and Conrad. Bryn, this is all revolves around a secret society. And Bryn has been raised in a family that is a part of the secret society. Now, Conrad is the brother to our hero from the first book, and I use that term very lightly. But he is, a part of this big family that has founded, like, been a part of this secret society for a very long time. And so, for Bryn, she lives with her grandpa and her aunt, who's just a few years older than her. And her grandpa and her aunt are both very abusive towards her because she's technically a bastard. Her mom took off. She doesn't know where her mom went. And nobody knows who her dad is. And so her aunt is actually engaged to Conrad. It is an arranged marriage. Conrad does not want to marry her. Conrad is sick and twisted and all sorts of messed up in the head, but he is obsessed with Bryn. A really horrible situation happens between a Conrad, Bryn, and her aunt, and he ends up taking her home, forcing her to marry him after he has forced himself on her all night long, and that does happen on page. It is not an easy book to read. There's a lot that happens in this book. He's abusive towards her. He breaks her down. He really wants to destroy her to build her back up in a very cruel way. This is not going to be for everybody at all. And I feel very depraved saying this, but I gave it 5 stars. I really enjoyed it because it was so different, but you are not going to like this guy. He is extremely abusive. There's a lot of breeding in this one too, but he is extremely abusive physically and mentally towards her, in so many ways, but I still loved it. Anyhow, and now you can see why I was like, oh, I really need to be. I did love it. And I can't wait for the next book. But these are ones that I have to read. Like, you notice I did like the firefighter book before. Like, I have to I'm gonna have to have a palate cleanser now after, because it's just so much. So much.
Okay, my next book is Devour by Gail Harris. This was our buddy read book with Amber and Jen. You can go watch the live show over on Jen's channel if you'd like. I will tell you about the book really quick. It's about Maeve. Maeve is having a really bad day. She had a little accident on the airplane, and then she's trying to get to this wedding. She's got her grandma with her. She goes to get in the rideshare car, and she doesn't realize that she gets in the wrong one. I love the premise of how this book starts off. It started off really strong. I was enjoying it. Then things just took a dramatic turn for me because the accident on the plane keeps getting referenced over and over again. And it's like one of those things where, like, when you have like kids and they tell a joke and it's funny like the first time, and then like the 50th time, it's no longer funny anymore. That's what this felt like. And the premise of the book felt really good. Like, he is this mob boss casino owner. She has no idea. She gets in his car thinking he's a rideshare driver. He then becomes like obsessed with her and stalks her. Like, I was on board for it. But it just fell so incredibly flat. I didn't see the connection with the characters, like why he was interested in her. It just felt it fell off for me. I gave it a pity 3. I've read Gail Harris before, and I just didn't really care for the book I read before. This was our buddy read, so I went into it hoping that the book I had read was one of her earlier books. So I was hoping like that, some of
Things
the
have changed.
yeah, but it still felt kind of the same for me. It's done pretty well in ratings though, so for people who like her writing style, they might really enjoy it. It just fell really, really flat. It was supposed to be dark, but it felt rom-commy to start with, and so then it was hard to switch over into the dark. It just fell flat. It just wasn't developed enough for me. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
All good. Don't gotta
But yes,
apologize. Not
pity
every book
3.
is gonna work for everybody. So, yep. Okay, what you got next?
Dang it. Next, I have an arc by Georgia Cates. You and I love Georgia Cates. She wrote The Soul Always Remembers. If you've not read those 2 books, please do yourself a
Amazing.
huge favor. If you like angst and something really, really different, go read those. Those were
Yeah.
phenomenal. So I read a Georgia Cates book while I was on my cruise. And so I'm like, what's going on with her? I haven't heard anything. So I went and like started looking her up again just to see, and found out she has new books coming out. So I was so excited. I signed up for the ARC thinking I was probably getting in too late, but I got approved. So I was very excited for that. So I got the ARC for Steel Beauty. This it's a continuation of a series, but it's a brand new couple years later. So you do not have to have read the other books because I haven't done that. This is going to be, I can't remember I think it's a trilogy. So just a heads up that it is going to land on a cliffhanger. That is not what I'm trying to
And
say.
end on a
Wow.
cliffhanger.
Yes. So anyways, this does come out April 29th. We have Magnolia. Magnolia works for this company called SoulSync that matches really wealthy elite clients with their perfect match. But they do it, and they like take all this information and match them, and then you're in this big room with a partition wall like down the middle, so you don't actually get to see the other person, and you're doing your dates this way, so you're really getting to know them before you actually see them. So love the premise of this. She's a set designer, and they are opening a branch in Australia. So she goes to Australia to get the new company going, or the new branch of their company going in Australia for 3 months. And she's getting the set ready for their very first match. They go by different names, so nobody, like, it's very anonymous. So he is referred to as Julius Caesar. His match is Cleopatra. She's in there, and he hears somebody over there, so he starts talking. She talks back, and she, like, there's some connection there. and it leads to them meeting up outside, but she cannot know who he is. She cannot be dating a client who is trying to find his perfect match with her company. So it's going to be all sorts of like forbidden and angsty, and I really enjoyed it. It is a slow burn. I rated it 4 stars because it does leave end on that. Why can't I say ends on a cliffhanger today?
I don't know.
I don't know what's wrong with me. So it ends on this cliffhanger. And I just sometimes struggle because to rate books when there's more that continue the story. So right now it is a solid 4. I cannot wait for the next one.
Okay.
But it doesn't feel complete. So it's hard to be like, this is 5 stars. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm probably too picky.
Now you're second guessing everything. Okay.
Yeah.
What
Leave
do you
me alone.
I wasn't saying anything. Okay. Next.
Okay, and this is my last book. This is an ALC, and this comes out April 29th. It is Savage by Jane Henry. It is the sixth book. Apparently, I can't read this many books because then I stop being able to speak. It is the 6th book in the Wicked Vows series. So this is Renata and Ollie's story. Renata's dead brother, who we think was dead, kidnaps her, is holding her hostage basically, and trying to force her to spy on the Romanoff family. Ollie ends up getting her, and he's who's supposed to be spying. She's supposed to be spying on. She's also best friends with Isabella, which is his sister. And so things are like very complicated here. And so nobody knows who they can trust, who they cannot trust. So Ollie has to keep an eye on her. And to keep an eye on her, he decides that it's decided in the family that they are going to get married. So she's now she was in a captor situation with her brother. Now she's in a captor situation with Ollie's entire family. I know this is a little wild. I loved it. So they get married so he can keep an eye on her to make sure that she's not spying. Nobody knows if Carlos is actually alive or dead. Nobody knows who they can trust. It is Mafia wildness perfection. I loved it. I rated it 5 stars. It is narrated by Kai Kennicott and Wynn Ross.
Yeah, they're a married couple.
I think they narrated more of her books. They do a phenomenal job together. So they really capture like all the craziness and the almost manic feeling of some of these mafia guys. Loved
They do
it so much.
they do several of Natasha Knight's, and they do a great job at them.
Oh,
So.
maybe yeah.
So okay.
My reading week was like woo 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 woo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same. There's some highs and lows.
Yes.
So, but okay, that's it. Hopefully you guys made it to the end.
Shit, this is a long video. My apologies. Please
Well,
make sure to check back on Mondays, Thursdays, Saturdays for new videos from us. And thank you for being a subscriber.
Jeez Louise. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video.